Attention passionate Montreal, Canadiens fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the Atlantic Division and it could shake up the entire conference. We're talking about a direct impact on Montreal Canadiens' path to another Stanley Cup run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Montreal Canadiens fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and Montreal Canadiens fans. Let's get to the news. Now folks, if you've been following the Canadiens lately, you know that the 2025-26 season is shaping up to be one of the most intriguing in recent memory. The team has been quietly working behind the scenes, especially when it comes to their roster and cap management, and one of the biggest stories right now involves none other than Carey Price. Yes, Price's name keeps surfacing in trade rumors, and it's not just speculation. The team's management, particularly General Manager Kent Hughes, has openly acknowledged that they're weighing their options. But let's be clear right from the start. Hughes has made it clear that a trade isn't a necessity. The Canadiens are not desperate to move Carey Price. Instead, they're exploring possibilities, seeing if there's a trade that makes sense for both sides. This is a fascinating scenario because Price, entering his third year of recovery from injury, has become a sort of symbol for the Canadiens' future. Price has been sidelined due to injury, and understandably so, but his contract still looms large, carrying a hefty $10.5 million cap hit. Now, the team has been managing this cap hit through the long-term injury reserve, which has provided some flexibility, but with the last of Price's signing bonuses paid out recently, the Canadiens are now looking at ways to optimize their cap situation. And that's where the rumors of a trade come into play. It's important to remember, though, that Hughes has stated quite clearly, "We're fine, we don't have to trade Carey Price. If we can find a trade to move his contract that makes sense for us and makes sense for another team, we'll pursue it. But we don't have to." That's a pretty telling statement because it shows that Montreal is being cautious, not rushing into any moves. But why would they consider trading Price at all? Well, it's partly about cap flexibility. The Canadiens are in a tighter cap situation this season, especially after paying a significant signing bonus on September 1. Trading Price's contract could open up some much-needed space, allowing them to address other roster needs or give more room for their young players to develop without the financial constraints. Plus, it's no secret that the Canadiens are focusing heavily on their future, on building around their core players like Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, Lane Hutson, Ivan Demidov, Alex Newhook, and Kirby Dach. These are the guys that the team sees as the foundation of their next competitive window, and managing the salary cap effectively is crucial to making that happen. Now, speaking of that core, there's been a lot of praise from Hughes about the culture developing within the team. He's mentioned how the players are embracing accountability and working hard to grow both as individuals and leaders. This is a team that's trying to build a solid foundation, one that's not just about talent, but about character and resilience. The last season's second-half surge was a clear sign that this team is heading in the right direction. The young talent is starting to gel, and with proper management and a little bit of luck, Montreal could be on the verge of re-establishing itself as a serious contender in the Atlantic. But let's not forget, the cap situation and Price's contract are still factors that need to be addressed. Hughes was asked about the status of Lane Hutson's contract, which has been a point of curiosity among fans, but he chose to keep that information under wraps. Still, it's safe to say that the organization is carefully planning their roster moves, ensuring they're not rushing into anything that could compromise their long-term goals. And now, as we look at the broader picture, it's interesting to note how the Canadiens' strategy fits into the landscape of the NHL right now. The league is more competitive than ever, with teams like the Boston Bruins, Tampa Bay Lightning, and Toronto Maple Leafs all vying for supremacy. Montreal's focus on developing young talent and managing their cap wisely is a smart move, especially in such a cap-driven era. The potential trade of Carey Price could be a pivotal moment, either a chance to bring in assets that accelerate their rebuild or a way to better position themselves financially for the seasons ahead. Some fans might be wondering, well, what kind of return could Montreal get if they trade Price? That's a great question. Given his stature and experience, even with the injury setbacks, Price's contract could attract interest from teams looking to bolster their goaltending or add a veteran presence without giving up too much in terms of draft picks or prospects. Teams that are in a rebuild or need a stabilizing veteran might see Price as a valuable piece, especially if the Canadiens are willing to include additional assets to sweeten the deal. In return, Montreal could look for young players, draft picks, or prospects that fit their rebuild timeline. But it's also worth noting that Price's leadership and presence in the locker room go beyond just on-ice performance. He's been a cornerstone of the Canadiens franchise for years, and his influence extends to the younger players trying to find their footing in the league. So, if a trade does happen, it won't be just about the cap. It will also be about how the team plans to fill that leadership void and continue fostering a winning culture. Now, looking ahead, the Canadiens' management has some tough decisions to make, but they're approaching this with patience and a clear focus on their long-term vision. The offseason is a critical time for them to evaluate their options, balancing the immediate need to be competitive with the bigger picture of rebuilding around their young core. That's why discussions around Price's future are so significant. They symbolize the crossroads between the past, with a legendary goaltender, and the future, with a new generation eager to make its mark. And let's not forget, the NHL landscape is constantly shifting. Other teams are also looking at trades, free agency, and draft strategies to improve. Montreal's approach might set a precedent for how teams manage veteran contracts in the cap era. If they find a deal that benefits both sides, it could influence other negotiations across the league. So, as fans, we have to stay tuned and keep our eyes on what the Canadiens do next. Will they hold on to Price and try to ride out his recovery? Or will they decide that moving on at this point makes the most sense for the team's future? Whatever happens, it's clear that Montreal is carefully weighing their options and preparing for a season that could be pivotal in their ongoing rebuild. The team is committed to developing their young players, creating a high-character locker room, and making smart financial moves to position themselves for sustained success. As we wrap up, it's important to remember that the Canadiens are more than just a team. They're a community of passionate fans, all eager to see their team rise again. The decisions they make in the coming weeks and months will have reverberations across the league, and we'll be here to bring you every update, every detail, and every insight. And now, Montreal Canadiens fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Montreal Canadiens. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Montreal Canadiens news. Thanks for joining me today, and as always, let's keep the passion alive for our beloved Canadiens.